Here's another problem from your lab, section 3.1. For what values of x does the graph of f of x is equal to x to the third minus 4x squared plus x plus 6 have a horizontal tangent line? So recall that the line is horizontal if the slope is equal to 0. And if it's the line is vertical if the slope is infinite. So here we're looking at 0. Thus, to find out where this function has a horizontal tangent line, we want to find when your derivative, which is essentially the slope, is also equal to 0. Okay, so now we want to take the derivative of this function. So this function is just a polynomial, and it's got term by term power functions, and so we just take the derivative term by term. The derivative of x cubed is 3x squared. The derivative of 4x squared, we bring down the 2, so the 4 is there times 2 multiplied, and that's going to be an 8 times x. And then the derivative of x is just 1, and the derivative of any constant is 0, so now that term disappears. And then we have 3x squared. We have 3x squared plus 8x plus 1. So now that we have this, we want to solve for this thing equal to 0. So since this is a quadratic formula, we can either factor or use the quadratic equation or quadratic formula. And the quadratic formula, if you remember, is going to be negative b plus or minus b squared. Oh, I guess we need to make this general. So let's try that again. Minus b plus or minus b squared minus 4ac, all divided by 2a. You should get some flashbacks to your algebra classes where you had to learn the quadratic formula. And so we'll put negative b here, and then b squared is going to be 8 squared minus 4ac. A is equal to 3, c is equal to 1, divided by 2a, so that's going to be 6. So they want us to fill in the thing inside of the square root, so we need to figure out what this guy is. Just to be nice and clear about this, we have this is 8 squared. Well, let me redo that. All right, let's try that again. So that's 8 squared minus 4 times a times c. That's equal to 64 minus 12. 4 times 3 is 12, and 64 minus 12 is 52. So the square root of 52 is not a perfect square. So we're just going to leave it at that. I suppose we can take a 4 out and we have square root of 13 there, but we'll just leave it like that for now. And it looks like they want to split this up, so we're going to have a fraction 8 over 6 negative. So 8 over 6 can divide out of 2, so that would be 4/3. And then here we have the square root of 52. And so they have the same denominator 6, so it doesn't look like they did any factoring or anything like that, or canceling out, because you could still have canceled the 6 and the 2 here. So that works out fine. And thus we have a horizontal tangent at the following x values. So these are the x values that we want. So it looks like we simply have to put these things with we have a 4/3 plus and a 4/3 minus. So we have negative 4/3 minus the square root of 52 divided by 6, and then we need to put a comma in between, and then we have another negative 4/3, but this time we can do a plus, and then the square root of 52 divided by 6. All right, again, we can simplify that a little bit. So they ended up simplifying it. I probably would have simplified it and then put the numerators together for each of these answers because they already have a common denominator. But I think that'll work. This is what we have, and I hope that helps.